With Kamen Rider X not performing as well as the previous two entries due to multiple factors, the series was cut from having around 50 episodes to only 35. This also led to NET, now known as TV Asahi, looking to replace Rider with a new Toei and Ishinomori production that would prove to be an absolute television juggernaut in the upcoming years. But that's a story for another time. Not all hope was lost for Kamen Rider, as TBS was willing to pick up the series to replace Ultraman Leo, a tale for when I cover Leo in my Ultra reviews. However, it was going to take time to move Rider from NET to TBS, so it was decided that Toei would produce a short 24-episode Rider series to help ease that transition. With all that in mind, it's quite possible that this is what allowed Ishinomori and the team at Toei to get more wild. Welcome back to my Rider reviews, where I take a look at each entry in the Kamen Rider series. I'll be taking a look at Kamen Rider Amazon, which aired from October 19th, 1974 through March 29th, 1975. However, unlike my previous videos where I usually start by talking about the Rider themselves before getting into other elements of the show, I want to break it down by discussing the incredible first half before getting into the lackluster second half. That does mean, like my previous reviews, there will be spoilers. But with that out of the way, let's enter the Amazons and henshin to it. To say Amazon is refreshing in comparison to the previous show entries would be an understatement. And it's not just because the show cranks up the violence. The show right off the bat tells you that it's not going to be like the shows before, with the intro visually telling a story of Amazon being chased through the jungle by Get-On followers, where before it was mainly just the riders riding their motorcycles. It gives you a sense that the team was really looking to break loose from the established formula to tell a story that may have been ahead of its time. While X started to redefine what it means to be a Kamen Rider, Amazon takes that redefinition and runs with it by having our main hero, who is also named Amazon, played by Toru Okazaki, not even be a product of modern science. Rather, he was transformed into Amazon Rider thanks to the ancient Incan device called the Geeky Armlet. While Amazon does wear a belt, that is not his transformation device, proving just how drastic they were willing to change up the status quo. This also ties into the previously mentioned Get-On, who was the evil organization for the first half and were led by the 10-faced demon Golgus, played by Ritsuo Sawa. While Amazon had the Geeky Armlet, Get-On held possession of the Gaga Armlet and was looking to combine the two artifacts to achieve a secret yet ultimate power. What makes Get-On a breath of fresh air is that instead of just making schemes and hoping Rider wouldn't show, they were specifically after Amazon, adding a whole new dynamic to the series. While Get-On did kidnap people, it wasn't to use them for experiments or labor. It was mainly to quench their literal thirst for blood. They also didn't have the typical combat men, as they had mostly female followers, and their kaijin were referred to as Beastmen, who fought much more animalistically than previous kaijin. This results in the fights being more brutal than ever before, as Amazon and the Beastmen claw and bite each other instead of the typical punches and kicks. Amazon didn't even shout his finishing attack. Instead, he cuts and tears his enemies to pieces. As you would expect through after everything I just mentioned, this was going to be a fish out of water type of story. Thankfully, this aspect was well executed, as they never entered the pitfall of making Amazon appear stupid. Sure, he couldn't initially speak Japanese, and there was a lot about modern day society that angered him. But the show also portrays Amazon to be an incredibly empathetic and intelligent character, especially when it came to survival and ancient Incan knowledge. This gave the show overarching themes of communication and not judging each other based on appearances and circumstances. This theme is reinforced with Amazon's relationships with Tachibana, once again played by Keiji Kobayashi, the boy Masahiko Okamura, played by Yoji Matsuda, and his sister Ritsuko, played by Mariko Matsuoka. In fact, a few episodes into the show, Amazon himself managed to befriend Mole Beastman, played by Ryuji Saikachi, a former enemy who Amazon rescued from Geddon. After that, Mole becomes the first kaijin to be a supporting character in the Rider series. As an autistic person, I really appreciate the lengths the show went into portraying its themes and messages. I resonated a lot with Amazon as communication in the neurotypical society we live in can be extremely difficult at times for us neurodivergent. Too bad though that the show couldn't carry this through to its second half. It's natural and healthy for a show to go through some changes during its run. Being stagnant could mean death for a show. I say this because I have no doubts that if the current conflict between Geddon and Amazon continued past the halfway point, it could have easily gotten old. Unfortunately though, just because change is necessary, that doesn't mean it's inherently good. When Geddon was defeated, they were replaced by the Garander Empire led by Zero the Great, who is played by Hirohisa Nakada. The Garander Empire sadly goes back to the ways of Shocker with their schemes and the return of combat men, making them less compelling than Geddon. They even have no interest in targeting Amazon and stealing the Gigi armlet, despite themselves now possessing the Gaga armlet. Amazon also experienced changes, such as his allies deciding to teach Amazon Japanese. This isn't an entirely bad idea, but unfortunately the way it was executed resulted in him having less of a personality. With the removal of the communication barrier, Amazon's frustrations with modern society disappeared and there was a drastic decrease in conflict between our protagonists, which made the relationships feel more mundane. This mundaneness also carried over to the fights as the more beastly battles between Amazon and the Beastmen slowly turned back to the standard Rider affair of martial arts. Amazon even began to shout the name of his finisher, Dai Setsudan. What these changes accomplished was the show losing its identity, a much greater problem than being stagnant. The show went from one that kept me craving for more to one I struggled to get through. Not everything in the second half is a downgrade though, as Mole was kept as a supporting character until he made a heroic sacrifice in episode 20. Mole's lasting appearance allowed the show to at least keep some of the themes presented in the first half as more characters began to accept Mole. The show ends though with Amazon returning to, well, the Amazons, but as a now civilized man, which is unfortunately a trope I wish the show didn't go through. While the second half went back to playing it safe, was that enough to hurt the show's overall reputation? In spite of how the show ended up, Amazon still manages to shine thanks to what it was able to accomplish with its first half. To this day, Amazon still manages to stand out from other Rider shows. It should be noted that Amazon is one of the few Showa-era entries to receive a modern update in the form of 2016's Amazon Riders, or Kamen Rider Amazons, which was sadly taken off of Amazon Prime earlier this year as of the time I'm writing this. It speaks volumes as to how a show can still persevere despite not making the landing. I can't speak for others, but I can confidently say that I will remember Amazon very fondly for the wild ride it gave me in its first half. Sadly, at the time of making this, only the first 2 episodes of Amazon are legally available in the US over on Toei's YouTube channel. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Amazon in the comments below. If you want to see more of my videos, go ahead and subscribe. Next time, I'll be taking a look at a series that's electric. Look, it took me a lot of strength for me to not say stronger. Anyways, I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care and shwatch!